Hey guys, we are here at CEDIA 2024 at SR4, which that's Sound Room 4. Matt Trinkline with StormAudio. Matt, you guys have put together a phenomenal demo room. I'm looking over here right now. There's a line out the door, and all 3 days there has been a line out the door. Last night, Brett Bjorkquist invited us to check out the room, so we had a chance to do all kinds of demos from movies to music. I would love to share with the audience what is inside this massive room here, and then we'll talk more about what does StormAudio bring to the table and how that was integrated into Sound Room 4.
All right. So, you know, it's kind of the trend here at CEDIA, right? We're going to show off the immersive format, and you want to show off something that's relatable, right? And a lot of the time that equates to a slightly smaller scale system because not everyone's going to do a crazy, 32 channel theater and have discrete rendering points everywhere. And we said, all right, we've done we've been kind of building up over the last couple years. Let's go, not full blown, but let's go another step further. So what we've got in this room is a 13.12.10 system. In Storm nomenclature, it's actually a 13.12.4.6. Okay. So what I mean by that is we have 13 base layer channel surrounds. Sure. We have 12 subwoofers. They're technically grouped in in groups of 3 in 4 positions in the front left and right and rear left and right corners. And then we have 6 height channels. So we have front heights and rear heights. Yep. And then we have 6 Atmos channels at the top layer. So we have top fronts, top middles, top rears. So you have your actual, more or less maximum path from front over the back coming down.
So you're doing an insane bed layer, then we got kind of like a mid layer, and then we got a top layer on top of that, and it's massive. No wonder it was so immersive.
Exactly, and we are rendering this all discretely. So we're surround 1, surround 0, surround 2s per the actual individual rows, which is a choice you have to make, and it's depending on the material that you're playing, it's not for every room. And sometimes, even in a residential setting where we're doing a big room like this, we might not set it up that way. We might set it up to, all be surround zeros, depending on what you're sourced and what you have available to deal with, right? Correct. So, we're lucky we have a kaleidoscope in here, so we're pulling in actual Atmos midstream, so we can fill everything that we need to.
Sure. So we got a bunch of partners in this room. Give us an overview of what what partners are in the room and maybe what they are seeing and experiencing in there.
So I'm just going to go through the signal chain from start to finish. Sure. So we've got the kaleidoscope, so the Strato player. Then we run into a StormAudio Elite. It is a both 32 analog and digital AOIP unit. We're actually doing a blend in here. Okay. So then from there, we're coming in via some Moovia Pro cables. From there, we're running into videos going out into the Lumagen processor, and then it's going downstream to the Christie Griffin projector. Which is a just absolute light cannon.
It's beautiful. It's bright.
It's wild.
You almost want to put on the sunglasses.
You do. You got to be careful when you're walking in there. And then on the other side, we're feeding AS67 to Ascendo's new Dante amplifiers, which is something new for them, and that's awesome. We love being able to stay in the digital realm. We're doing that for the LCRs and the subs, and then we're doing analog to StormAudio amplifiers. We have a stack of PA8s in there. We're running the main bass layer all bridged. So it's a ton of power being thrown into here, even for the side surround channels. They have 800 watts available to them. And so we're doing that for the surrounds and the rest of the height and top layer.
Matt, some people are going to look at that and go, okay, that is way extreme. You got so many speakers, so many subwoofers. Why in the world would you want to have that much in a room like that?
Because we want to show, a lot of times we don't think in terms of what's possible, we think in terms of what we know. And sometimes it's good to come in and give people something to reevaluate, right? And say, if you want to go to the next level, this is something that you can aspire to. And that's kind of something that we've been trying to share with the industry as a whole, as dealers, don't start at the bottom and come up. Start at, a top level, DCI style, what would be the absolute best, and then scale down to meet the price point of what you're trying to do, because it's always going to give you a better end result, right? You're doing the same work to get to the price point you're going to want to be at anyways, so why not come from the other end and end up with a 15 to 20% better result?
Sure. So the StormAudio processor, you got a ton of speakers. There's a lot of math, a lot of logarithms that's happening in there. But then you've also got the calibration side, and you calibrated not only this room, but how many other rooms are running StormAudio here at the show?
We have 7 in total active demos, and on Sound Room Row here, we have 5 of those.
Okay. Wow.
Actually, excuse me, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here,
5
and
out of
then
7,
3 actually other places, so 8, excuse me.
Wow, so 8 StormAudio. So that just tells you, the folks here know that they need the Storm to make the room sound great. All of those, tell me a little bit about the calibration. What does that process look like? Maybe not walk it step by step, but get us into the mind of Matt Trinkline. When you walk into this room, what are you looking for? What does that process look like?
So first thing, because we're here on CEDIA, the show floor, we got to look at the room and what we're actually given as far as a raw bass.
Sure.
Everything starts off of, where are we at as a starting point? Let's get a feel for it. Let's get a feel for the space, the room. Luckily, we were provided some drawings, so we kind of knew what we were walking into. We'd run some acoustical simulations. We didn't know what some of the resonance of the panels was going to be like, because these are brand new rooms. Work out for the most part pretty well, pretty happy with them. So we go in, we do that, we set up our calibration equipment, we come in with a nice full mic scale. We go through, we're running Dirac live active room treatment in every one of these rooms on Sound Room Row for the most part. This one in particular is a really nice deployment of that technology with some of the new products that we have available. So we're using an infrasonic subwoofer that also has the ability to play as a kick sub and go very high. It's incredibly, as you heard last night, it's incredibly quick. I mean, I would stack it against subwoofers that are half its size and smaller as far as speed and response. So what allows that to do, especially because we have the Black Swan, so our screen channels are a horn paired with 2 15-inch nice, good size drivers with a lot of headroom and horsepower. So we're running active room treatment on the screen channels down to 60 hertz. Subwoofers are taking over from there. And the rest of the channels, we're taking a more, kind of agnostic approach depending on where they're positioned within the room, anywhere from 80 to 100. And the subwoofers are running actually the majority of the LFE. We have them actually running an active room treatment up to 150, which is the top end, because they have the ability to do that. I wouldn't do that with every large infrasonic subwoofer.
Well, Matt, that is a lot. I mean, here's the thing. I've learned, Matt, I've been with you many years. Matt's a genius, I'll be honest with you. I'm not just saying that like lightheartedly. I appreciate it. You know what you're doing. That's why each one of these rooms say, we want Matt. Matt's going to dial this thing in because you're going to take your time. Unfortunately, we only got a couple of days, and you've got 8 of them or 6 of them or 7 of them to calibrate. So I know that's a huge challenge, but what these guys, that's why they keep lining out the door, is because they either come back again or they tell somebody else at the show, you got to go check out Sound Room 4, and they just keep coming in and circling in. So who else do we have here at the show?
As far as the other demo rooms for us?
Or maybe like even your partners here.
Okay, so we got an SR4, we have StormAudio, Ascendo, Christie Digital, Seymour Screen Excellence, Moovia seating as well. Moovia home theater seating is, I think, relatively new to the channel here in the US. It's a high-end luxury seating company out of Germany. One of the really cool things about them is that they actually have TCP/IP control. So you can tie it into the automation programming. There's an app for it. So we bring people in and we're actually reclining the front row so that we don't have, when we have the screen running full width, because this is a floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall screen in here from Seymour Screen Excellence with active ratio masking. So it's adjusting with the content we're playing. We're playing the widest content that we have available. We're also playing the tallest content that we have available. It's pretty cool when that Snyder scene comes on and you're like,
it's crazy.
We don't watch movies like that. So it's cool to be able to show off and see the difference between them.
So we're gonna talk to each one of these individually. I'd love to talk to Chris Seymour about the screens. Love to talk with Jeffrey about Ascendo. And so who are we going to talk with next?
We just went through the calibration side and what we've done and where we're running. So I think let's bring in Jeffrey and let him elaborate a little bit more on what he's brought into this room.
All right, sounds good.
If I can add one more thing, so the first thing that we do when we're done, at least my process, before I go into cinematic content is 2-channel music. Because before we even get into the cinematic world, which is so much more involved, I want to make sure that we just have the correct balance, tonality, response, everything that we want from pure 2-channel. When we played it for the first time and I just went, oh.
You just kind of melt, right?
The song, awesome. I put on one of my go-to tracks that I use as far as one of my references, which is Hey Now by London Grammar, and I just, The only word that I have is it's creamy.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, well, let's check it out with Jeffrey. All right, guys, we're here with Jeffrey with Ascendo. We had an opportunity to hear this system last night. Benny and I came in. We had a private demo from Brett Bjorkquist, and it's phenomenal, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Tell us what you've got in Sound Room 4, but you've also got some other rooms that you've set up here with Ascendo. So tell us what you got.
Yeah. So let's talk about Sound Room 4 first, because we have a few brand new products that didn't even make it, some of them at least, to our website yet, because we didn't even have them photographed yet. So Sound Room 4 contains, first and foremost, our new 28-inch squared sub, which I'm really, really proud of. I have been working with the most talented engineers worldwide to develop that, because it's an engineering marvel, to be honest. It's as the name says, a 28-inch square subwoofer, right? Yeah. But flat panel subwoofers, or speakers in general, have a lot of engineering problems. So, for example, a flat plate. We all saw maybe the Cymentics movie, from DTS, right? Yeah. Where they put salt on a Gluttony plate, and then you see, depending on the frequencies, the sand moving in different directions and showing basically the modal and nodal frequencies. And that is really the big problem of a flat panel speaker, that it resonates like hell, right? Yeah. So we had to make this subwoofer basically not resonate at no frequency in the usable frequency range.
Right.
And so why did I do a 28-inch squared? Because 28-inch square has the same cone area as a 32-inch round.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to have that extra bottom end into the single digits, but at the same time I wanted to create a subwoofer that also extends way high, into the hundreds, if not thousands of hertz.
Okay.
Why? Because if you have a subwoofer that goes high, it's usually very fast, right? And so I made this subwoofer to be a single infrasonic to kick woofer range frequency.
So it's covering all of that dynamic range.
Exactly, yep. And not only that, I wanted to have this subwoofer even exceed what we do today with our 21-inch kick woofer in terms of speed, in terms of punchiness, in terms of efficiency even, I mean, so we even managed to make this woofer more efficient than our 21-inch subwoofer, which is limited to a kick woofer, not a true infrasonic woofer.
Sure, right.
Yep. And we achieved that, and not only that, I wanted to have a woofer that is also very shallow, because space is always a premium, right? The real estate inside the room is a premium, and with 12 inches depth for an infrasonic subwoofer, I think we achieved that quite nicely.
Yes.
So in here we stack 4 stacks with 3 each on top of each other, right? And so we have an incredible cone area, of course, inside here that can extend very low, but also goes very high, very punchy. I mean, I don't know if you experienced it, but it's a very tight bass, right?
Well, we listened to a lot of music yesterday.
Yes, exactly.
We also did stuff like Dune, Big Sandworm. Oh my goodness, man, that was so exciting. But even when we were listening to music, and you've got the, I'm not the guitar, but you've got the drum, you got the kick drum, you got the snare, all those little subtleties, you're feeling it. It's not like crazy, but it's feeling. But we listened to one, I wish I could remember, I wrote it down in my notes. I'd never heard that. Oh, it was Imagine Dragons.
Yes.
So Matt fired that up.
Oh, that is amazing.
When it came in, it was like, boom, I immediately, I'm like, I'm downloading it. I'm buying it on Lionsgate. It was
one of my favorites. Yep, I agree. I agree.
So sometimes, here's a misconception. So we're looking at this big 80-inch. First time I saw this was at Atlanta Home Theater.
Correct.
And I looked, I'm just gonna be transparent. I looked at that and I went, I mean, come on, like 80 inches, that's crazy. The great thing is, it sounded incredible for music. Now, of course, we didn't have that in a home theater setup, but it's gonna sound incredible. I thought it was gonna be like some massive excursion. This thing's barely moving. So that keeps that distortion really, really like non-existent probably,
correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're well below 0.1%.
Yeah.
You know, also with our 28-inch.
Sure.
I mean, we already published the data on that. It's
Right.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Just to give you a background here, we work in R&D also with the company Klippel from Berlin in Germany, and Klippel is basically the measurement company.
De facto, that's
de
the
facto
standard.
worldwide, the standard. So we had the guys from Klippel over in the University of Potsdam in Berlin, and they helped us to set up the Klippel measurement system because we were literally approaching the limits of the Klippel system.
I can see that.
Nobody ever measured a more powerful subwoofer on this planet yet.
Right.
You know?
Wow. That's
So,
impressive.
I mean, we put 36 kilowatt in the 28-inch and it didn't even sweat.
Wow.
Not a single decibel of compression yet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
So you got massive firepower in the bottom end.
Correct.
But what are we doing on the rest of the speakers? What are you running in there?
Well, I think you already heard our Black Swan
I
also
did.
in Atlanta.
I did, yeah.
For one, and I don't know if you already went up to Connecticut Trinoff showroom.
I have not.
Okay,
I've been there.
yeah. And there is a few other showrooms
Sure.
here in the country to experience the Black Swan.
Yeah.
So in here we have the Black Swan Cinema Reference, which is the one with two 15-inch woofers. And that is a version that reaches well above 140 dB SPL, right?
Yeah.
So again, we're coasting. I mean, you had said before you were approaching what yesterday?
It was 126 dB.
Yeah, okay. And that is in the range of about minus 20 to minus 25 of the maximum potential of that room.
Wow.
Yep.
So you could go well beyond that. Now, of course, that's not advisable for our hearing.
No.
But they have the capability, and what's nice about that, you don't have to worry about blowing that subwoofer up.
Absolutely not.
Give it all the power you want for the most part.
Correct.
And drive it hard, you know?
Yep. So the other speakers in here are our 10-inch coaxials. We have in 3 different shapes and forms.
Sure.
We have the regular on-wall, which is a rectangular box. Then we have a 30-degree angle wedge.
Okay, yeah.
And we have a new 12-degree angle wedge, which is designed for actually above and below LED screens, pixel screens.
Sure.
But also you can use it very nicely, like we show in here in these both rooms, for top speakers and also surround speakers. Because usually you mount the surround speakers a little bit higher, so they angle perfectly back to the reference listening position, right? And the amplification is also something I want to talk about real quick, because we introduced at this show a new infrasonic amplifier. And why is the amplifier called infrasonic? Because when you think about, or when you look at amplifier designs, you find a lot of powerful amplifiers out there. They claim 10 and 20 kilowatts of power, but all of these amplifiers have been designed for rock concert use, right? And so you imagine that these amplifiers also do the same thing below 20 hertz than above 20 hertz, but far from it. You know, these amplifiers have been designed to do rock concerts all day long, and rock concerts, what do they need? 40 hertz all day long. Very seldom 35, and almost never 30 hertz, right? So these power supplies are designed to charge every cycle of the 60 hertz cycle, the power supply capacitors. But when you now load them with lower frequencies, let's say 10 hertz or even 5 hertz, you suck out basically the current of these capacitors much quicker. And you cannot recharge them because they're not big enough. So we designed now an infrasonic subwoofer amplifier that is being recharged every 60th of a second, or every 50th in Europe, to be fully stable even at 3 hertz. So we had to literally quadruple or 10 times fold, you know, the capacitor bank to be able to store the energy, to maintain a full power. So you can literally weld with these amplifiers, you know, and maintain a full power output down to 3 cycles. And so that makes them very different. We also made comparison measurements between our power supplies and the competitors' power supplies.
Sure.
And you see that these, at low frequencies, they sag very quickly.
Okay.
And they cycle, you know? So you always get a cycle. So when people talk about, let's say, oh, we have these 6 kilowatt, whatever, I don't mention names now, and they weight like, I don't know, 6 pounds or 10 pounds.
Sure,
you know, they can never provide that kind of power at the ultra low frequencies.
Makes sense.
And the other amplifiers we came up with, and also DSP, is they're talking AES67 directly to the Storm. So we do a hybrid system here, as Matt already mentioned before. And these are, when you do a hybrid system, audio over IP, they are very noise-free.
Okay.
You know,
right,
so when you do the balanced inputs, they're good, you know, but nothing is as good as pure digital.
That makes
you know?
sense. Yeah. No conversion.
And so we do the pure digital here, and it's just so much cleaner, so much crisper, so much more signal-noise ratio.
Sure.
And we're talking Black Swans. They have a horn with 117 dB watt meter.
Yeah.
So you hear the slightest hiss.
Yep. Everything.
And so that's why we developed an ultra-low noise amplifier that has only less than 20 microvolts of residual noise.
Right.
That is absolutely inaudible, even with the highest, you know, efficiency speakers on this planet.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is basically this system. Then in the other room we have, we're showing LED wall speakers, so direct radiating speakers. They're called the Director, and the Director is installed above the screen, and in some systems we already installed even below the screen.
Sure.
And so what excuse me, what you do is you not only time align but also level match the top and the bottom speaker, that you now do a virtual phantom image, not like stereo, you have a horizontal phantom image, but we do it vertically, right?
Yeah.
So you pull down the phantom image right to the center of the screen.
Love
so, yep, that's how we do it. And in this room we show the brand new 16-inch subwoofer, which you may see right next to me here, which is the pro version of the 16-inch subwoofers. Also very, very tight subwoofer with a very good extension, well below 20 Hertz in-room response.
Right, sure.
Of course, when you measure those anechoically, the response drops off already at about 45 Hertz, but that's normal, and that's due to the sealed subwoofer effect. You know, every sealed subwoofer have the same effect. Anyway, So, thank you very much. If you want more information, of course, please visit us at aia-cinema.com. That is aia-cinema.com. Thank you.
Jeffrey, it's been a pleasure, man. You've got some incredible products. We've got some other great brands that we want to introduce you to as well.
Thank you, Michael.
We're with Chris Seymour from Seymour Screen Excellence. Chris, you've got amazing products. I've got a Seymour screen in my dedicated theater room, but you got the fancy stuff here at the show, and you have a lot of sound rooms that you have your Seymour screen in. So tell us a little bit about Sound Room 4. We're going to look at some cool technology here and talk about your products.
We're in 5 locations because I'm trying to get you to buy something that's in a moving configuration. So your next screen, we're going to do that.
All right.
So what we're showing over here is, this is our Enlighter Neo material in our kind of static booth. This is the material that you can put your nose up to. You're not going to see any weave, any holes, any texture. There's nothing that shows that this isn't a solid-looking screen.
Sure.
You can't tell it's acoustically transparent.
I can't see any.
We have studios actually that use this material just across from a mixing console.
Right.
And you'd say, well, why don't they use a flat panel? And in many cases they do, right?
Sure.
In where they need that speaker behind for perfect audio, cohesion, then they use this material.
Sure.
It's DCI. It's got anti-sparkle technology, so you could use pure RGB with it if you like. But new product, let's show.
Cool.
So we've got our innovative screen control system now, even available in a commercial rack mount configuration. So our big jobs are doing those.
Sure.
And what we have here is a touchscreen interface as well, just so we can go to whatever aspect ratios we like. In this case, let's say we're loading up, and we did this in the demo, but look, we picked a 276. That's the Creator. That's a really cool sci-fi movie that they did in this 2:7:6 ratio.
So super wide.
Super wide,
yep.
or super not tall, depending on how you want to do it. Now in Soundroom 4, we've had the 4-way masking, so we can really demonstrate what's a full height image look like, what's a full width image look like, and everything in between.
Right.
So here's our 2:7:6 ratio. We can pop all those back open. We can go. I think I'm the only person that's ever demoed with Justice League before.
You did, and last night we saw, we're like, we lost the whole screen, man. It was crazy.
Like nobody does that, but 4:3 ratio, like bring it in.
Yep.
And then we can go out and do everything in between. We've got lists and we've got slots for custom as well.
Sure.
But a really cool aspect of this as well is that this automatically works with Lumagen's products now. So Lumagen pushed a package up, a free upgrade to their customers.
Cool.
There's a Seymour menu in there that controls directly, talks to our controller directly.
Nice.
So you don't need intermediate stuff. You don't need that control floor. And stuff works great, but it simplifies your chain, lowers your cost, improves the value of what you're getting out of that Lumagen as well.
Sure. Last night we were here, we're demoing, going through all different types of content, from concert Blu-rays to all on the Kaleidoscape. But what was interesting is every time the screen changed, I mean, instantly Seymour's adjusting. Sometimes it would be both, top and side. It was like, it's cool how your product integrates seamlessly in with those other products.
Yep, and even that couple seconds it takes to kind of come in, because we're bouncing clips like this, as you know, right?
Correct.
And so the clip might come up the video, and then the mask take a second or so. I actually like that because it's showing people the difference in video quality. Because you're seeing all those kind of, and this is a pure RGB laser projector. Their contrast range shows through the roof.
Right.
But even in a blacked out room, those letter boxes or pillar boxes are there, and I like people see. I've heard some people go, "Oh yeah." It's kind of like you get that seat reclined just right, like it's just perfect then.
Sure. So. Chris, I'd love to kind of even touch on the purpose of masking. So a lot of times we see those gray bars. We change a movie, and we've got gray bars on the top, gray bars on the bottom, or maybe you have a scope screen like I do, and you're watching a 16:9 movie, and you got gray bars over here and gray bars over here. To us, you may think, okay, lights go out, I don't see the gray bars. Why would I need masking?
And you can ignore those to your ability. But it's kind of like having a fan in the room or some kind of a noise that maybe you can tune that out, but it's still reducing the fidelity of what you're experiencing. So, that can be fine, but once you get used to that, and it really adds to the value of your projection system.
Sure.
You can spend, I think it was M-Wave a couple of years ago, and even last year as well. We had the $26,000 projector next to the $5,000 projector. Exact same screens. One was masked, or they're both unmasked, and everybody's like, "Oh, $26,000. That's beautiful."
It's beautiful. This one's okay, but that one's gorgeous.
They see the money.
That's correct.
And then when I picked the button, and the mask came in on the inexpensive projector, and people are like, "You know what? I kind of like this $5,000 one, if at least better for the value." I mean, it's doing now some things that the other one's not doing.
That was an incredible experience for me personally, because again, I was that consumer that thought, gray bars, no big deal. When you put the masking down, the whole entire crowd, you physically heard us all go, what? Like, what just happened? Holy cow. You didn't change anything. But perceptually, something in my brain said that this image just got more clear. It got sharper. There was and what you explained is that is a perceived contrast boost, correct?
Yeah, because it framed it perfectly, and so your eyes have a black line reference, not just on two sides, or just like which type of screen you have, but all around, all four sides, you've got a perfect outline, and then your eye anchors to that zero black. And everything else then pops from that, because all contrast comes from however deep that black is. So you can spend a lot on your projector, and you can get better lenses, and you can improve that a lot. I mean, don't bring an office projector; they'll be super terrible. But even masking would look better for that. But our point is that spend what you may on the projector, but our masking screens, which started, I don't know, 4,000 or so, kind of depending on the configuration, the type you go. Spending a few grand on the masking system saved $20K in that projector shootout experience.
Now, what about somebody?
And it works with every projector.
What about somebody that doesn't have a Seymour screen? Do you have any products that can help with that?
That's sad. We got a lot of products that can help them with their lack of Seymour screen.
Yeah, you know.
First thing we like to understand is what's the room configuration going to be.
Ideally, you want to buy a Seymour screen, but
of course, not everybody can use an acoustically transparent screen. Not everybody wants them. We're showing an ambient light rejecting screen in sound room 3 over there, and that is our smoothest material. And we're still even shooting a pure RGB projector on that. So check that out. Its contrast is through the roof. But they wanted lights on. They wanted. They have a couple of sconce lights up. Their door's open right now. And you can go in there and see a really bright, vibrant, punchy image. So it depends on, is it a dedicated room where you can bat cave it down, or is this a multi-purpose type room where you got a little lighting going on, maybe some white walls. You haven't talked the boss yet into darkening the ceiling a little bit. That's money well spent.
Yeah, for sure.
And seating distance, we like to understand that because some materials are better for that versus others. In the big room in there, in Sound Room 4, we're showing our Enlighter Pro material. This is the first time we've shown this at any trade show. It's also DCI, it's also despeckled because these mastering studios are using huge screens, laser projectors, and that despeckle is important. But we can make those screens 20 feet tall, 40 feet tall on custom if we do that. And we can do masking systems 550 inches or so.
Oh my gosh.
We're trying to tout our capabilities here. You know, commercial control and integration, and you can check then out what that adjustable ratio theater in there, that arch screen does. Carbon fiber masks, and even we can do a free floating run of 30, 40 feet just hanging on the ends. You put your eye on that with a laser, no sag. It's perfect. We got some tricks to pull that off.
I love it, man.
So
one thing I love about Seymour is that you are into innovating. You're not just taking something, okay, everybody else is doing this. You're like, okay, what are the problems? What are the needs in the hobby? What are the situations that are going to be different? And we want to make a product for each one of those. We want to make a solution for each one of those customers, and you do it well. You've always done it well.
Every screen we make is custom. I have 0 screens in stock anywhere in the world. And what I like about that is when folks come to us, then we hear their problem directly because it's what they want. Now, if I can fulfill that with something we've already worked on, great. That's fantastic. You just get it out. But if it's a new challenge, we're like, ooh, can we do that?
Let's figure this out.
And we got to consult that with the group, maybe work on some. But that drives our new product development. So we got the voice of the customer directly talking to product design.
I love it.
And that, to me, is how then you always stay solving those problems on the edge of what these applications are doing, because it's always changing.
Totally fine. Chris, anything else you want to cover?
I don't know. We can sit here and make stuff move around. I mean, when things are moving around, it's like that's everybody's.
One thing I'm noticing, it's quick.
It's quick, especially this small.
But in the big
room,
over there, it's pretty fast.
We're sweeping this far, I think, is 20, 30 inches maybe. And I do it switches in between scenes, so there's no background sound, and they can hear how quiet it is. Those are our AC silent motors. So
I love it, man. Chris, you got product for everybody.
We do.
All you got to do is reach out to them.
Please.
Chris, continue to do great work, man.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
It's beautiful in there, absolutely beautiful. So we're going to check with some other partners in this room.
Thank you.
All right, we have Jim with Lumagen. Jim, thanks so much for just allowing me the opportunity to learn more about your products. I don't know a lot about it, so I'm probably going to have some great questions for you. But tell us what you brought to the show.
Well, I'd be happy to. So we are introducing 2 new products. One is actually in production. The other is for 2025 release. The first one is the Radiance Pro 4140, a new entry model, US $54.95 retail, 1 in, 1 out. And we get a lot of requests for this. They want to put us on the output of the audio processor. And in Europe, that's very, very popular to do. They want to just have one, and they're complaining, why do I buy 2? Have to have 2 inputs, 2 outputs. So we came out with this $54.95, $500 reduction from our least priced unit before this. And so it is in a compact case, 1 in, 1 out, but it has all the video features of all our Radiance Pro processors. So all the dynamic tone mapping, all the scaling, all the instant auto aspect, and all the setup features. And so one of the things I like to talk about is Lumagen being used in production in movie studios, and one of those, it's a post-production, very large studio and the producer who does the post-production there has been using the Lumagen for 6 years.
Yeah.
And what I like to say is you can see what the director intended because we know they're using it to qualify their movies for home releases.
Gotcha.
So this is the entry model, same features.
Okay.
We have another Radiance Pro here. We're
Right.
showing the 5244 here and in SR4. And that gives us very good quality, low jitter, ultra low jitter output, which we're finding improves the audio.
Okay.
In the 2-channel audio world, de-jitter is a big thing,
Yeah.
but we're doing it in a video processor to make basically the audio at the input of the audio processor have less jitter.
Okay.
Their de-jitter then takes it and makes it even lower jitter at the DACs.
Sure.
Lower jitter at the DACs is lowering the distortion of the audio.
Yeah.
We don't process the audio, but we do make it better on our high-end 5200 and 5300 series.
Okay.
So we're showing that in the booth with a number of manufacturers in SR4.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we want to talk about also is we just added 2 new features.
Okay.
One is we're now compatible with LLDV, Dolby Vision
All right.
LLDV.
Okay.
So we've had it tested, it's working very well. We're adding a couple more tweaks, but that will be in another release.
Right.
It's already in a release, but we'll be doing a couple tweaks. So now you can watch Dolby Vision.
Okay.
Why do you want to watch Dolby Vision?
Yeah.
What comes out of LLDV to us is basically like HDR10,
Okay.
but if you have, there's 2 layers in Dolby. There's a base layer, that's like HDR10, 1000 nit,
Sure.
10 bit.
Okay.
But there's another layer, which is a difference layer, where they can add more bits. So they get 12
Gotcha.
bits, and they can do a 422 format if they have what's called an FEL layer. And what that does is it gives you better quality into the Lumagen,
Right.
which translates into better quality out.
Sure.
We're still doing all the tone mapping
Okay. Right.
in the Lumagen with our dynamic tone mapping, which the producer using it says it is the best tone mapping, even better than its non-real-time tone
Right.
mapping solutions.
Right.
So we provide all the features you need to optimize your home theater.
Yeah.
Whether it's a television, a large television, we have a number of people using it with a large television, especially in Europe, that's very popular. They don't have room for a real theater.
Makes sense.
And in the US, very high-end theaters, we have studio directors
Right.
and producers using the Lumagen, and they've chosen it by doing testing against other video processors and other solutions.
Cool.
So one of the things we're showing here, in addition to the LLDV,
Yep.
is we can control the masking, which you probably noticed. This mask is changing.
Yeah, we've been sitting here the whole time, and you're like, "Is this thing freaking out?" No, we're playing a movie here that has multiple aspect ratios throughout the movie, and it's
So
timed
yes,
up.
we changed the clips. This is a new thing. This is Snyder Cut.
Okay.
A Justice League 4x3.
Right.
And so watch the masking goes to 4x3.
Look at that.
As we get to the end of this, then we'll see another clip, and I forget which one is next, but the masking will change, and that's
Automatic.
being controlled. The Lumagen Instant Auto Aspect uses the actual video,
Okay.
and that analyzes it and just says, okay, this is 4.3, this is 69,
Sure.
this is 240, even 276.
Okay.
So whatever the aspect ratio, if you have a Seymour masking screen, and to have that work, you obviously need the Seymour controller
Okay.
here that does actually actuate the motors and everything
Right.
on the screen. But then you can basically sit back and relax. You don't need to select your aspect ratio.
Yeah.
And we will instantly select it for you. Whether you have masking or not, we select the instant auto aspect.
Sure. So normally, if you've got like a projector, like a JVC, you've got a lens memory, and you got to figure out, okay, is that a 2.35 to 1? Is that a 240? Sometimes you're grabbing the Blu-ray disc, and you're like me, you can't see. You're like, I can't even find what it is, and you don't know.
Yep.
This takes all the guesswork out of it. You're doing the tone mapping, you're doing the auto aspect ratio. All of that is done inside the processor.
Absolutely. So we have some setup instructions that we have people who don't know video doing their setup and calling and saying it looks great, amazing.
Sure.
Obviously, if you want to get that last little bit of refinement, you get a calibrator in,
Sure.
color calibration. There's a number of good calibrators out there.
Right.
But the Lumagen is easy to set up. You follow the slide set step by step,
Okay.
and then anyone can do it. Our menu is very extensive and is somewhat intimidating to some people, but you don't need to use most of the features.
Okay.
It's just that the ones you need are there if you need them in a
Sure.
special case. We have cases of people with a drop-down screen
Right.
and a TV.
Okay.
And our 5348 is perfect
Sure.
for that. Our top-end model
Okay.
has 2 video outputs and 1 audio output.
Ah.
So the screen drops down, you use the output for the screen.
Okay.
The screen goes up, you use the output for the television.
Nice.
We can be the central switch. Because of the de-jitter circuit, the 5348 has 10 inputs.
Okay.
So we have people where they wanted more than 10, but 10 inputs gives you a very sophisticated system.
For sure.
The Lumagen can do the switching. We reduce the jitter for the audio. The audio sounds better. The video looks great because of the low jitter, low electrical noise, and low power, small 1U case for most of our products. Okay. Or some of them can be even bought in this very small compact case. So that is about what we're doing. We're showing the Seymour stuff, as we said, and we're just really excited to be here this year.
Yeah, Jim, it's been amazing. We had a demo last night. Absolutely loved it. I was telling Chris, everything just was seamless. No hiccups. It's just analyzing the content, figuring out what aspect ratio it needs. It ties in with this new controller that they've introduced, Lumagen, and it does all the magic and all the work for us consumers.
And we find that's really big. A lot of our customers, they just want it to work. They don't want to even know it's there when it's doing its job. And that's what they say, it's great. I just turn on my system, the Lumagen does all the work for the video.
And that's great, because think about this. So my wife struggles with technology. I mean, big time. So for her to come in and have to figure out how to manually, what buttons do I push on the JVC to make this happen, she doesn't have that ability. I've had my daughters in my room, and I'd walk in, I'd go, give me a second, and I'd change it for them. So again, you take all of that, you set it up, get it dialed in, and then you just sit back and enjoy the movie.
Absolutely. That's what we're about, the best presentation quality. We're passionate about studio reference quality, and that's just not a motto. That is what our passion is, and I think that is why we're starting to be used in studios. One studio is a sound studio, and what they're using the Lumagen for, not only for the video, is we have a true gen lock. So if you want good lip sync, you need a true gen lock in your video processor. But we also have video delay. So the audio processors like the Storm have a little longer audio delays. You need the Lumagen with gen lock on with a video delay to get your lip sync perfect with these high-end audio processors that have, it used to always be we had to delay the sound. Now we have to delay the video. The Lumagen has a programmable, on a frame basis, video delay. So you can set that, and those are the kind of features that a lot of people aren't even aware of, but allow people, especially setup people, to get your home theater dialed into just what you want. And so you get to choose, do you want a brighter image? Do you want a little bit darker with more highlights? And that kind of stuff is a personal preference. So we're all about personal preference. And we have features that I don't personally like non-linear stretch. I don't like it, but we have people who love it.
But you choose what options, what features you want to implement into your home theater.
The end users get their choice, and they can do the setup, or they can hire someone to do the setup for them.
Jim, I love what you're doing in the space. I'm excited for you guys as y'all continue to grow and get more exposure, and I'm hoping that this even brings more customers your way.
We sure hope so, and we're getting great response to the show at CEDIA.
Awesome, Jim. Pleasure
thank
meeting
you very
and hanging
much.
out. Absolutely. We've got more partners. Let's check in with them. All right, guys, we're here with Doug with Christie. Christie makes some of the most incredible projectors. You guys know I love home theater tours. I've had a chance to fly all around the world. There's some great manufacturers, great projectors out there, but Christie's doing some incredible things. Doug, tell us a little bit about Soundroom 4. This is the one right behind us. This is a big screen, beautiful image, and one of your higher end projectors, correct?
Yes, so in Soundroom 4, we're partnered with several partners in there. It's a 13.5 foot wide Seymour screen of excellence. That we're shooting our 4K 35. It's our Griffin 4K 35 RGB projector. There. And it's 35,000 lumens, native 4K, 4096 by 2160. You know, RGB illuminated. So we're actually we're probably right at or just over 98% of Rec 2020 color space. And it's just a beautiful unit. We have had nothing but extremely positive feedback, you know, from anyone who's used it or deployed it into a home theater type solution.
Let's talk about that maybe for a minute. You talk about the 98% filling that color space. What does that mean for the average consumer? Like, why would I want that? What does that do?
Well, it's an overall color volume, right? So it's giving you about 50% more color volume over like what you'd get with a Rec, 709.
Yeah.
Like, per se, but actually a little more than that probably.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just we're hitting. I mean, reds are true. If you want to see Coca-Cola red,
right,
you're going to see Coca-Cola red.
Sure.
I mean, you're not sacrificing anything like you are with some of the other, illumination technologies.
Sure.
Like laser phosphor, you're pretty much maxed out at, a Rec 709 or P3 color space. With true RGB laser, we're actually just to achieve that, Rec 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're getting more like when you say volume, you're just getting more colors, man. The colors are popping. That's the thing. Even the Kaleidoscape menu, guys, looks gorgeous, man. You're seeing all the different details. It's crystal clear, and this is a massive screen. And how many lumens you said?
In this case, 35,000 lumens.
35,000 lumens, I believe. Are we 300 nits in here? Did I hear that from somebody? Do you know?
I thought we're over 300.
Okay.
I think we've got Sound Room 3.
Okay.
We're actually hitting like 480 nits with our 25,000 lumen projector.
Oh my goodness.
But it's a higher gain screen. So
okay.
We're able to do that.
So Christie, when I think of Christie, I know about the Christie Eclipse. I've had a chance to see that in person. This is your Mac Daddy. This is a very high-end, very expensive. You kind of need an air conditioner to keep this thing cool because it runs really hot. So that is a super high-end. This is the creme de creme, the Mac Daddy, everything you could have, but that's super high-end. We're talking over 300,000, 375?
North of 350, 375 probably.
And probably depending on what kind of lens and some different configurations.
Yeah. Where you're located for installation setup.
Yeah. So some of you may be watching this video and you're like, I'm checked out already. Christie, that's way out of budget. But you're in 4 showrooms here?
We are, yep.
So you got 4 showrooms. I don't think you've got a Christie Griffin in each one of these rooms, right?
No, absolutely not. So we're in Sound Room 3, 4, 5, and 7.
Okay.
And what we want to do is just show a wide range of our product line, that's really being used in this market. And in Sound Room 7, we're actually showing our entry level, our Inspire series. Yeah. It's a single chip DLP unit.
Okay.
8,500 lumens.
I'm just thinking, that's a lot,
and that's
man.
Our entry level,
8,500. Right? You guys are always wanting, man, I want it brighter, I want it brighter. Well, their entry level, 8,500 lumens. All right.
Yeah, and it comes with a fixed lens. It's a 1.2 to 2 fixed zoom lens. And everyone says, oh, it's Christie, I can't afford a Christie.
Yeah.
But so an entry level into this space with our Inspire series, you're looking at $12,500 MSRP.
$12,000 for Christie.
Yeah, right.
8,500 lumens.
And I've had some incredible feedback on it at this show.
Yeah. There's been a line out each one of these doors.
It really has, all week.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Awesome. So. Well, I know we've been filming a lot, so I haven't had a chance to get down there, but this is our last one today. So when we're done, and the good thing is everybody's thinning out at the show.
Exactly.
And so I'm gonna have time, me and Benny will be able to go hit those. And I wanna see what a $12,000, and maybe I can even make a dedicated video after this, and I get back home, back to my my studio, and I can kind of share my thoughts on that. Like, all right, man, what does that even look like? That's huge. I mean, the fact that you can get into, think about it, some of the Sonys, some of the Epsons, they're well beyond that.
Yeah.
12,000.
It comes with a 5-year warranty.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So you've got 12,000 up to 375 or 350, somewhere in there. Yep. And then you got 2 models maybe in between that?
Yeah, so we're also showing at the show our M Series product. So our M Series is a UHD 4K, so it's still 3-chip DLP.
Okay.
We've got our own actuator, so it's a 4-way actuator.
Okay.
It runs at 120 hertz. So it's very fast.
Okay.
And people are blown away by it. They're like, wow, I would have really thought this was a native 4K projector. But so we have our M4K 15 and our M4K 25 here at the show.
Okay.
So 15,000 lumens, 25,000 lumens.
All right. So if you need a bigger screen, want more brightness.
Exactly. And and So MSRP on those, like for our $50,000-$60,000 with the lens.
Okay.
Get up to the 25, you're at 80 grand.
All right.
And then when you get into the big dog, the Griffin,
sure,
you're at about 100.
Okay.
So I mean, we've got some really nice price points for people.
So that's pretty much wherever you're at, you know, if you got that entry, and again, entry and budget is, I know you guys are going to be like, that ain't budget. We're all at different places, okay?
Absolutely.
Some people, their budget's 500, 1,000, 15,000, but I've got people that are watching this video, their budget, their low-end budget could be the 80, it could be the 60, it could be the $400,000, and so
Absolutely.
It's great that you're, man, I'm excited. Like when you mentioned that you have stuff that is attainable. So for me right now, $400,000 is not attainable. Not at this point, maybe 1 year, as we grow Obsessed Home Theater, you know, as we grow Youthman, maybe I'll get to that point, but right now, but the fact that,
buy me one too someday.
but the fact that we can get in at the entry level at $12,000, that's incredible. Now you mentioned something that I'm not familiar with. So you mentioned actuators on a projector.
Yeah, so a lot of times you hear 4K UHD.
Right.
And with single chip, or in this case 3 chip.
Correct.
I mean, what we're doing is we're taking like a 1080 like actual DMD chip.
Okay.
And we're actuating it, we're repositioning it.
Right.
And so we're repositioning it in basically 4 different positions to give you 4K resolution out of the projector.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of trickery, but it looks beautiful, and like I said, you know, I mean, a lot of people could not tell the difference.
Well, that's
especially when you're 10 feet away.
Yeah.
If you're right up at the screen and you're looking pixel for pixel,
peeping,
it might look a slight bit blurry compared to the native 4K, but once you're 10 feet away, you're not going to know the difference.
Yeah, and I've always challenged you guys. I don't think in a blind comparison, we kind of get hung up on resolution sometimes.
Yep.
And I like a native 4K. Why not? It's better. I like a native 8K. It's better. Great. But the reality is, I think in a blind comparison, there'd be very few people, like especially at a normal seating distance, that would be able to say, yep, that's this and that's that. I don't know that they could do that.
Well, truly, you can't. I mean, your eyes can only resolve so much.
Right.
And like at most cinemas anymore, they're still 2K.
Right. Yeah.
People have no idea because you can't resolve any. You can't resolve more pixels than that at your seating distance. So.
Yeah. Well, Doug, you guys have, like I said, you've got some beautiful, beautiful projectors. I love what you're doing in the space, and I'm glad that we had a chance to just sit down and talk about what you brought to the show. And so if somebody wanted to get more information about Christie, where do they go?
Please just come see us at www.ChristieDigitalSystems.com.
All right, cool, Doug. Appreciate your time, man. This has been a lot of fun. Good luck with the rest of the show. We're about to wrap up the show, so I know you guys will be packing up, heading to another show. But guys, I'll leave their links down in the description as well. We've got a few more partners we want to introduce you to. All right, guys, we have stepped away from all the noise of CEDIA, and we are now in a dedicated theater room here at CEDIA 2024. I've got Todd Sutherland with Sutherland AV Marketing. Todd, thanks so much. We've got some cool theater seating that we want to talk about. Sound Room 4 has some Moovia theater seating. This is Sound Room 3, Moovia seating. Then we've got another chair out here. Todd, I would love to kind of walk through what does Moovia offer, and let's talk about some of the features, because I've never heard of Moovia before CEDIA 2024. So I'm excited to learn about this, and I'm probably going to have some questions for you.
Absolutely. As I had questions for them, I wasn't aware of the seating brand until, frankly, a few months ago. It's the debut of Moovia that I just brought in. This is my first shipment into the U.S. as their distributor.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've never done it before, but I'm constantly exposed to, in projects that I work on, because I'm also the distributor for Ascendo loudspeakers from Germany. I'm constantly exposed to various brands of seating and projectors and so forth in the work that I do in theaters. And I've seen a lot of what's available in the market.
Yeah.
I wasn't honestly looking for a seating brand, but the minute somebody turned me on to them and said they're looking for help in the US market, I think I have a pretty good taste for taste and options. And I thought, I'm already having conversations about theaters. Why not me? Why not my seating line? Why not this wonderful company in Europe that's doing this kind of work? And honestly, the reaction that I had when I first visited them is the same reaction that I'm receiving at the show from a lot of designers and dealers, and frankly, even clients saying, I've never seen this before. But I
This
want
is
it.
new to me,
I want it.
Well, to me, this screams fashion. This isn't just your standard leather theater seats, and I like leather theater seats.
And we do those too, by the way.
Okay, and so I like to recline, I like my cup holders. This has some flash to it, but we also got some functionality. So maybe we could walk through this model.
Correct.
And then we'll talk about the other 2 models that are out there.
Correct. So each of the various seating options within the Moovia range are named after cities around the world.
Okay.
So for example, this is the Lyon, Lyon for
I like
France.
that. Even sounds fancy.
Sure. And it is primarily considered a media room seat. Of course, it could be used in a theater like the dedicated room that we have here. But the thing that especially kind of struck me as a cool option or for positioning for this range, especially when I saw this line, was that this is more often kind of something that a designer or clients and integrators who are using designers as part of their projects, frankly, would be more comfortable using anywhere in the home as media rooms. Because it screams design or fashion, like you said. And that's the purpose of this line. Now, there's a lot of different options, but the other nice thing that's about it is that if the designer is going to recommend a couch for the media room, typically, that couch may not have some of the functionality that Lyon does.
That is correct.
So,
that's correct.
Michael, look over on your right-hand side, and you're going to see some very subtle,
they're like
kind of buttons.
Silver buttons
that allow us to turn this really comfy seat.
Oh, look at here. So that's even that touch is different. Normally you have little plastic buttons up here or on the side.
And they're obvious and they kind of look like theater chairs that don't really belong in the room. Whereas these are subtle, and you have the option to get back and relax a little further.
I like that. That's cool. Again, just kind of thinking outside the box of your typical theater seat.
Correct. There are lots of different options. This is a very modular line, so there's like a corner piece. There's various options. You'll see you have a bookshelf kind of on your side.
Right.
I have more of a traditional arm. You can see a cup holder here.
So you pick and choose what you want.
I'm showing a couple of different things. So you see there's a wood accent here. There's a brass in here, and everything you touch, from the leather accent to each of the finishes.
It's smooth.
And you can see, even then, again, if I don't want to see that here, I'll just convert it and say, well, that's different. So it's very customizable. This is only one fabric option, one fabric color.
Right.
There are lots of options. So speaking to that part is that this is a common thread within Moovia, and that is bespoke is a term that is often overused.
Sure.
In that in a lot of seating companies, bespoke means, you have 3 choices. This is, if you will, those who are familiar with kind of the Porsche car line.
That's correct.
They offer a huge range of customizations.
Right.
So clients who approach that product say, I don't want what everybody else has.
Right.
I want something that is based on this, but is tailored to my personal tastes. Really, there's no end to the options that are here, so that clients not only, they feel something special that not everybody's going to have access to.
Sure. So we've got different colors. I'm assuming we got different fabrics.
Absolutely. All the above.
Different finishes, I guess you would call that.
Correct.
So we got wood finishes, and now this is different here. What is this?
That's a marble.
Marble.
So again, if you don't want to have it, this is all.
Look at that, 100%. Man! It's so classy.
That's correct. Or you flip it over and it matches the leather trim. However you want to have it, either used at the time or left after you've used it, so you're not walking through your beautiful living room and seeing cup holders staring at you the entire time. Man. But yet when I invite my family to sit down and watch it with me and say, well, okay, here's a place for our drinks, so we're not trying to balance it on our gorgeous and expensive couch.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, they thought of everything. It's like, we want to make functionality, because that's the bad thing. Usually nicer theater seating or even just furniture in general, you're missing those options.
Correct.
And so I like the fact, 'cause I like toys, I like gadgets, I like buttons, and to me, this is cool. It's not only functional, but that looks gorgeous, and it gives, like you said, the homeowner the option to make it them, to make it personal.
So lead with style, support with functionality.
Man, what a tagline. I love it.
It's not theirs, I just came up with that.
Man,
they can have it.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. No, that's great though.
So this is Lyon. So as you mentioned, we have a couple of other seating, kind of options that we're displaying in Sound Room 4, which is a larger kind of 3-row theater.
Right.
We have a total of 12 seats in there, 3 rows of 4. They come with or without arms and so forth, but that is the Marbella. from Marbella, Spain.
Okay.
That's that option in there.
Yeah.
And that's actually a different fabric. That's black because it's a darker theater room.
Yeah.
And that's an Italian fabric, whereas this is, I believe, out of the Netherlands.
Okay.
And with the range of fabric and leather options that are listed on the Moovia website, moovia.de for Germany.
Sure.
Designers will quickly recognize a lot of fabric names or options that they're already familiar with, that they specify, maybe on some of their furniture traditionally. They're going to find, oh, these guys have access to this and so forth. For example, one of the leather options is available in the line throughout, is also used by Maserati. So anybody who's had the privilege of sitting in some of those gorgeous seats, if I can have those in my seats in my home too, oh yes, I'd like that.
For sure. Sign me up.
Exactly.
I love it. So the seats that are over there, I actually had a chance to sit in those last night. We came over to a private demo, and I thought they were just couches, to be honest with you. Looked like couches, sat down, I was comfy. And then I accidentally slipped my hand down in the crack here. I felt some buttons. They were hidden.
Again, subtle.
They were hidden. I'm like, I got reclinability? And then I was like, oh, yes, sir. And then they were really cool because those have the headrest back here. So those of you that are really, you want to make sure that there's no obstruction of sound for your bed layer, speakers. A lot of times theater seating, they have a high back or they have a headrest, and if you're true audiophile, you don't want anything around your head.
Why would I be paying for surround speakers if I can't hear them?
Exactly. And so in my case, in my room, I lean back all the time. My speakers are elevated a little bit. So I don't have that issue, but you might. And so being able to have that flexibility to leave it down, to raise it up, just gives you, again, the flexibility as the consumer, what works best for me.
Correct, because it's infinitely adjustable. It's not a down or up option. And again, it's a very subtle design cue. So you don't necessarily see that when you first walk in, but as you discovered, oh, I get to have beautiful furniture and again, functionality.
So kind of interesting. My wife, when I was building my theater room, I wanted standard theater chairs. It's a theater room, that's what you're supposed to put in there. She's like, no, I want a couch. That's kind of the best of both worlds. She wants to be able to, snuggle versus having this thing in the middle, an armrest.
Correct.
And so that's kind of cool to be able to have that. And I think there was, can we fit 5 in that? 4. So and they were wide, and you can even see these are plush, man. You can get comfy, you can get cozy.
Correct.
If you're a bigger gentleman or a bigger lady, you've got more space.
Or if you might,
I was about to say, you might be able to even squeeze your spouse in here and y'all just kind of hang out over here. I think it's awesome.
Well, and thank you for picking up on that in there because, one of our goals at a trade show like this is to bring as many people through our demonstration as is possible. So we're trying to weigh the balance between how many people can we put in there.
That makes total sense.
To manage the queue that we're very fortunate to have outside our booth the entire time at the show. But at the same time, I said, guys, I don't want them in there, with folding chairs just to put 20 people in the demo. That isn't the point. If I'm going to represent a seating line, I want to do something different. So what I said is limited space on the width, limited space on the depth to be able to rent for the show.
Sure.
But I don't want people feeling like they're in there like this. Listen, what we do is an experience, and every aspect of that design of the theater space should add to the experience, not detract from it. So I said to Moovia, I want to put X dimension. I want to put X number of people. Tell me how wide the cushions are. There, I said 29.5 inches. That was bespoke. So those are custom sized because I ordered them that way.
Okay, so see, think about this. So those of you watching the video, you want something different that not everybody has, or maybe you have a certain limitation. I like that, because in my room's only 13 feet wide. So I had to I had to see, all right, I'm looking at this theater, that's gonna be too wide. Okay, that might work. This, you tell them the dimensions of where you want it to stop, and they build it.
That is correct. So I tried to strike a balance between how many people to get through there, but you haven't even turned the system on in there yet. When you walk in, my goal was to say, wow, number one, this looks gorgeous.
Yeah, this is different.
Sit down, you feel gorgeous.
Yeah.
You feel fabric.
This is cool.
And then again, you're not crammed in there, right?
Yeah.
Like sardines. You're like, I have my own space in there and everything. So I struck a balance in there. I think that people are really responding well to.
Yeah, and even this, I mean, you got cushions back here.
Oh, I had to bring the pillows in because to me,
that's cool.
This says comfort.
At
this
first,
says,
normally I move the cushions out of the way, and I, honestly, when I first sat down, I'm like, I'm gonna need to move these. But I sat down, I'm like, I like this. This is good. This is super comfortable.
Because my wife at home, when we have a deep couch or whatever, she'll like bring it back, or she'll put the pillow like
that's what I usually do.
And kind of chill, whatever, and do this as well. So I just thought, hey, that looks less like everybody else's theater furniture and more like that's something I would just have and cuddle up or fold my legs underneath me in the chair.
Love it. Now, Todd, we've got one more theater seat out here just in between both of these booths. So this is just a single seat just to show people, again, another option from Moovia. What's that one?
That is called the Berlin. Again, you'll find it on the Moovia website. I wanted to show that we too, for those that really do like individual theater seating, have the option to do that too. Some people have commented when they walk into our demo that there are no armrests in between one another. I get that. People sometimes want the armrests, even at various widths. I just couldn't accomplish everything in one theater demo, right? Because obviously you put in armrests, fewer people, narrower seats.
That is correct.
But the Berlin out there is what I felt was a gorgeous example of one of their individual theater chairs. It's in a phenomenal brown leather. I'm sure you'll shoot some footage of that after.
I will. I'll show them.
And it's more of a traditional design in a theater chair. Again, Berlin, after Berlin City.
Correct.
Number one, gorgeous feel. Number two, a lot of functionality built into that. So I didn't bring everything in the kitchen sink in that chair, but you literally can order massage, heat, you name it.
There you go.
Out there for functionality. I mean, wireless, kind of charging for your phone built into that product. So,
and again, you pick and choose what you want, and they build it custom?
100%.
So one question that these guys are going to want to know is not necessarily what are the pricing, but if I were to go to their website, can I see the pricing and pick out, or is it best just to call them or email? What does that process look like?
Here's the thing about seating, thanks for asking that, is that I don't even stock these because when you start to offer the range
this is
of
fully
options,
custom,
that's correct.
Sure.
No matter what I would consider, it's like, again, like a car dealer. It's like, well, here's the options we put on it, take it or leave it, if you want it now.
Sure.
Clients at this level don't think this way.
Yeah.
They don't purchase their beautiful chandeliers that way or anything that they are traditionally buying throughout their custom homes. They are willing to wait because they want it the way they want it.
Okay.
And no matter what I chose, it wouldn't be their taste or what they would imagine for a feature set.
Right.
So yes, there are a couple entry-level price points kind of listed as a ballpark.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because people look at it and they can think,
sure,
without seeing any information, like this is way over my head.
Right.
The reality is there are more approachable price points on the Moovia line as well. When you don't see pricing and everything, because honestly, it really involves a conversation with clients, designers and dealers and myself. And myself with Moovia. And we'll say, how many people do you want to put in there? What were you thinking for fabric? What are you thinking for features? And we come up, like we do with a speaker system or anything else. You can list models and prices, but really where the rubber meets the road, including Moovia, is the project base and the individual needs and wants, frankly, for the client.
Yeah, because again, you're working with a designer. So if one of my audience wants to get more information about this, of course they can visit their website, and I'll link it down in the description. But if they want to have that conversation, who do they have that conversation with? Do they call you?
They would start with me.
Okay.
I mean, either way, they can contact Moovia through their website. And knowing that it's a US, because I'm their US guy.
Okay, perfect.
They'll kick it to me anyway. Or, so if that's easier to remember, that's fine. Or you can come to Sutherland AV Marketing.
SutherlandAVMarketing.com.
Right? And come to me first, and we can bring the whole thing together. So it's moovia.de or SutherlandAVMarketing.com.
I love it. Todd, these are cool. I am so glad I had the opportunity to experience these, because again, you guys are always looking for variety. You want something different, and so maybe this is a good fit for you. If it is, go to their website, contact Todd. I'm sure he'd love to have a conversation with you to see what they can put together for your home theater. All right, guys, we're on day 3 of CEDIA 2024. Everybody's thinning out. They're packing up, getting ready to go home. I have been absolutely impressed with Sound Room 4. There's a lot of great brands. I'll leave all of their information down in the description below. Hope you guys have enjoyed this series. I know it has been long, but I think it's worth it. Hope you guys have an incredible week. God bless, and we will catch you in the next video.